Today, I want to share the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes that small business owners make. Can you guess what that is? They don't pay themselves. They're the owner of the business and they don't properly pay themselves as the owner of the business. They just willy-nilly pull money out of the business when rent's due or the mortgage is due, or maybe their child's school activity bill is due. And so just pull money out here and there, but there's no consistent owner's pay. Today, we're going to talk about that problem. And I'm going to share the Mike Michalowicz Profit First plan of how he encourages us to have multiple bank accounts for the different buckets in our business. And I'm going to actually share how I manage my finances, the actual business accounts. I have multiple business accounts for my business, why I choose to organize my business that way, and how it's helped me to really take control of my finances as a small business owner now since the year 2011. I've been doing this for a while, and I've been learning from my mistakes. So that's what we're going to talk about on today's program. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, drop in the chat where you're watching from and your name, and I'll give you a shout out. We are new to live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, so also be super helpful if you can let me know if the audio sounds good. I was just streaming recently and the audio was off. I had a setting wrong where it was using my computer microphone instead of this fancy microphone, the Joe Rogan microphone, the Shure SM7B. This fancy microphone is supposed to sound good. I didn't even have it plugged in. I had it, long story short, it was using the wrong mic. So hopefully it sounds good. So let me know. All right, we're going to start with the Mike Michalowicz plan, and then I'm going to share the plan that I actually use and why I don't follow Mike's plan and why I follow my plan. But I'm not encouraging you to follow one or the other, but I am encouraging you as a small business owner to get your business healthy enough where you have the money to set aside to pay your taxes on time and in full every quarter or whenever your taxes are due. I know we have people listening in the United Kingdom and California and places where I don't understand your taxes. Like, I understand them, but I live in the United States and Florida, and I just kind of know what my responsibilities are. But at the end of the day, the goal of today's episode is to help you get your business in a place where you can set the money aside for your taxes so you can pay those in full, that you can pay yourself as the owner of the business, right? You're out there mowing, edging, trimming, blowing, throwing down pine straw, running your business. You should be getting paid. And then all the obvious operating expenses of running your business, your equipment, your gas, your truck, all of that fun stuff. And then, well, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me share Mike's plan here with the 5 categories of what he would encourage you to have 5 separate bank accounts for. So bank account number 1 is going to be called your income bank account. What this means is 100% of the income that comes into your business should go into that income account. So if Mrs. Smith pays you for her monthly bill for your weekly maintenance, let's say she pays you once a month, that money is going to go into that income account. Now, I use a CRM. You can use, there's so many CRMs out there, but the one that I recommend is called Horizon 360 by Toro. And the money comes into my account. It's all connected to QuickBooks, which is connected to my bank account. So all that income goes into that account. That's super important for several reasons, because you want to know what the true revenue of your business is. And if you have 100% of the income that comes in through the year go into that income account, then your books are clean. In QuickBooks and with your bank account, you can literally just pull up your statements each month and know exactly what the true top line gross revenues in your business is. So Mike shares this, and I do this. I have I have multiple business accounts, but I have one account that specifically, and in my bank, you can nickname the account. I just nicknamed it income. So whether someone pays me on PayPal, they pay me through the CRM, they ACH wire me the money, they pay me cash, they pay me check, however they pay me, I'm going to make sure that money gets deposited into the income account. Now, Mike Michalowicz Profit First plan is a very famous book, and the audiobook version is the one that I've consumed multiple times. He would then encourage you to open up 4 more accounts. Now, these accounts are your owner's pay account, your tax account, which is going to be a temporary holding place until your tax bill's due, your operating expense account, which is nicknamed OpEx for operational expenses, and your profit account. So Mike's plan is the money comes into your income account, and then from there, twice a month, and I don't do this, but I'm just telling you what his plan is. From there, twice a month, you're going to divvy out percentage-wise money into the owner's pay bucket or account, into the tax account, into the operating expense account, and into the profit account. So 5 total bank accounts: income, profit, owner's pay, taxes, OpEx. By the way, we're on Facebook and YouTube. If you guys are watching out there on video, please let me know in the comments how your audio is sounding. I know for the podcast, Mr. Producer is able to do something called post-production, where he's able to make me sound presentable for our listening audience on Apple and Spotify, wherever you're listening. But I'm doing this in live time on YouTube and Facebook. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Please let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and if the audio is good on Facebook and YouTube, I'd really appreciate that. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Mike Michalowicz Profit First plan, having 5 bank accounts: the income account, the owner's pay account, the tax account, the operational expense account, and the profit account. He recommends a bank. It's called Relay Bank. I think Mr. Producer put the link, I know for sure, in the podcast show notes, but even on YouTube, there should be the link in the description of the Relay Bank. So what they have, or what I should say they don't have, is the minimum fees. So if you go to your mega big bank, I've done this, and I opened up all my accounts, I started getting charged bank fees because I didn't have a $5,000 minimum balance in one of my various accounts. And they started dinging me for a fee. And I went in and I complained, to no avail. They gave me like a one-time courtesy thing, because they're like, well, we can do one time a year. We can give you a fee reversal, Mr. Jameson. Well, and then I think it was like $15. I was like, well, gee, thanks. But every month you're dinging me. So anyway, with Relay Bank, there's no minimum balance. So you can open your 5 accounts, and theoretically, if you had 7 cents in one of the accounts, no harm, no foul. They're not going to ding you for not having a minimum balance. That's why it's the official banking partner of Mike Michalowicz. So what I've done is what I call a hybrid system. In golf, we have a hybrid. It's like an iron and a wood combined. It's called a hybrid. One of my favorite clubs in the bag. But what I've done is I've created 3 business accounts. And Mike would probably disagree with me, but that's fine. For me, 3 is fine. 5 is great for Mike's plan. I didn't write the book Profit First, though. I'm just a simple guy, and I just have 3 business bank accounts. So my 3 business bank accounts, again, this is Paul's plan. This is not the famous Mike Michalowicz plan, but my plan is I have an income account. So 100%, and I am so accurate with 100% of the revenue that's paid to me, which usually comes through my CRM that's connected to QuickBooks and the my bank account, or sometimes people wire me an ACH, and yes, sometimes people send me a check. It's not preferred. I try to get card on file and have them pay with a card, but sometimes if it's a larger transaction, we'll do a check. Just so there's no fees for the credit card processing and all that. But anyway, all of that goes into the income account. From there, I have what's called my tax account. So somewhere between, if you're just starting out, 15 to 30% of your revenue, it would be recommended to transfer that into your tax account. Now, as you do this month after month, year after year, you can get more dialed into what the appropriate percentage of your revenue that you should be putting into that tax account should be. Because, for example, in the United States of America, California, they have different state tax liabilities than we have here in Florida, where we, thank God, have no state income tax. Let's go. No state income tax. And I still have to pay the federal taxes, but no state income tax. So anyway, 15 to 30%. I've asked a lot of people. I've literally asked Mike Michalowicz himself, and he said 15% is a good starting point. So, like, say you have $1,000 come in, you would take 15% of that, which would be $150, and transfer that into your tax savings account. And he ran all the math. Like, if you did $1 million in revenue for the year, that would have meant you set aside $150,000 for taxes. And because you get expenses with deducted in your business, $150,000 should hopefully cover your tax bill. Now, again, there's so many different variables with taxes. I'm not a tax expert, attorney, professional whatsoever. I just am saying, for me personally, from interviewing and asking Mike Michalowicz, and then interview him, I just asked him one question, but asking Joey Coberly, Megan Coberly, and so many others who are experts in the industry, their answers varied between 15% to 30% of your business's revenue. If it's set aside for taxes, in most cases, when your tax bills due, that funds that you have saved throughout the year, you should have enough to pay your bills. Now, I'm hesitant to tell you how much I set aside into my tax savings account. I will say it's in that range because, one, I live in Florida with no state income tax, and two, my expenses are different than yours. I don't know how much you're deducting from your business expenses, but I just want to give a range from my resources that I've asked. Well, anyway, I have my income account. All my money goes into there, and then I immediately take a percentage that my advisors, right? I have a tax preparer advisor who's been doing my books for years and kind of can project what my tax bill is going to be. So they've given me the percentage that they suggest I immediately put into that tax savings account, so that when the tax bill is due, I have the money sitting in that savings account. From there, I have a third bank account, which is also on Mike Michalowicz's plan, and this one's called OpEx, operational expenses, baby. So that's how I do it. I have 3 bank accounts. Now, Mike's percentages in his book for his 5 accounts would be all your money goes into your income account, 50%, these are just starting numbers if you're new to this, half of it goes into your owner's pay so that you're paying yourself, 15% would go into your taxes, 30% into your operational expenses, 5% into your profit account. Now, you can read his book to get more details on why those are his recommended numbers. I'm not suggesting following this plan. I've done a hybrid of his plan, but I will say, since switching to a hybrid of the Mike Michalowicz plan, I feel more organized financially, that all my money is going into one bucket. My appropriate tax savings is going into, and I do this every morning. I look at my bank accounts every morning, unless I'm traveling. If I'm here in Florida, part of my morning routine is I look at all my business banking accounts, and if revenue came in the previous day and hit the account, I immediately do a transfer to my tax savings account. Just because I know what it feels like to get a tax bill and not to have the money to pay the tax bill. I never want that experience ever again. I never want my tax preparer to say, okay, here's how much you owe in taxes, and my heart to sink. Like, my heart sinks so low that I got to go find it, put it back in my body, breathing all heavy. I don't want that experience ever again. So how do I be proactive to make sure that doesn't happen? Money comes into my business. Money is immediately, or 24 hours later, when I check in the morning, oh, wow, $1,000 came in yesterday because I served a customer and they paid me. Now I'm going to take the percentage that my folks that are experts that I pay to teach me this stuff tells me to set aside, and I put it in that tax savings account. So when my tax bill's due and the tax preparer says, hey, you owe X amount of money, boom, I just take that money that has already been saved and I pay it to the good old IRS. And they're paid on time because I've been saving it throughout the year. Now, from there, I have an amount that I put into the operational expense account to run my business. So I then pay myself out of the operational expense account. So that's where I guess Mike and I don't want to say we disagree. I don't have hundreds of employees, and I just keep it simple with my 3 accounts. But I am paying myself as the owner of my business. I am setting money aside for taxes. I am running lean and mean. Well, maybe I'm kind of nice, but lean. I'm running lean and nice. Okay, meaning my operational expenses. I'm constantly combing through them. I had a meeting with Joey Coberly yesterday. He's my bookkeeper, him and his wife Megan. And I was just asking Joey about we were going through expense by expense line by line item by line item by line item in my profit and loss statement. I'm asking Joey, what do you think about this expense? You think this is justifiable? Is this expense helping the business enough to be worth it? And we monitor these things. Like, yeah, let's do it one more month. Right? We're just we're paying attention. But unfortunately, what's happening for most lawn care businesses is they're not running lean and mean. They're not bringing in enough revenue. They're not as profitable as they should be. And so when it comes time to pay yourself, the business can't support that because it's not healthy enough. So when I started paying myself as an owner, I think we started at, I think it was $4,000 or $5,000 a month. I started working with Joey and Megan in 2020. And they're like, let's set you up like, like on the first of every month, why don't you pay yourself a salary, like a set amount? So I think 5,000 a month is 60,000 a year, which, isn't that much, honestly. I mean, it's, but anyway. So I did it one month and I was like, oh man, how am I got to make sure I have money to pay this expense and that expense and this expense and this expense. And I've already taken out 5,000 on the first of the month to pay Paul Jameson. How am I going to have money to pay this, this, and this? And it was a struggle, but I ended up getting through that month. And then the next month came, I paid myself, I think it was 5,000 the first of the month. And it was a scramble again. And what happened was it forced me to get out there and sell more work and make more money so that I could pay Paul, that I could pay all my expenses, and I could set money aside for taxes. It forced me to get my business profitable. See, before I started working with Megan and Joey, I was disorganized. I didn't know what I didn't know, which was my business was on life support. And so I had to get profitable. So for me, what has worked is having 3 different business banking accounts: my income account, my tax account, my operational expense account, consistently paying myself. Now I've started paying myself more than that 5,000 a month, but my business can afford it. And I've increased my lifestyle a little bit. I haven't increased it like too much, but I've increased it a little bit, but it's at the ratio of my business is growing. I think a big mistake, Corey Ballard said this on an Instagram reel I had watched that he had done on his podcast. He was talking about how these young whippersnappers, they're increasing their lifestyle too fast. They have a good year in business, and the next thing you know, they're out there buying, building a house and buying this and buying that and buying a new car and buying all this stuff. And he's like, why don't you put your head down for 3 or 5 years or 10 years, for a while, and you had one great year. That's good. But why don't you focus on having another good year? But you keep your lifestyle scorched earth. Keep your lifestyle simple. And that's why Andy Mulder has a $3.6 million net worth. Is he didn't go out there prematurely and increase his lifestyle. He stayed in his humble house, paid it off, and reinvested in his business, and now he's starting to build the dream shop on the dream property that's been paid for in cash or whatnot. But anyway, I don't want to get on a side tangent, but I do kind of want to emphasize we should be paying ourselves as the owner of the business, and we should make sure the business is healthy and profitable. And when it is, we should increase our lifestyle ratio-wise with how the health of our business and how the overall health of our financial life is. So I'm blessed beyond my imagination. I'm thankful, but I'm debt-free. But I'm very cautious. I don't know if scared's the right word, but I'm very hesitant to increase my lifestyle. I just I just want to make sure there's margin in my business and in my personal life. And the last thing that will get increased is my lifestyle. Because before that happens, I want to make sure that the margins in the business is fat. The money saved for taxes is always more than enough. And anyway, that's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. I just looked at the clock here. We gotta wind things up. We gotta land the plane, as the pilot says. The temperature today in Sarasota, Florida is 82 and sunny. Mild winds coming out of the southwest, and should touch down here in just a moment. Thanks again for flying with us today. Well, thanks again for listening to my podcast today. We are on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you to everyone who's been watching out there, and I'll try to dial in my skill set here with live streaming and do more of these that are on YouTube and on Facebook. But in summary, today we talked about Mike Michalowicz has a suggestion of 5 business accounts for your business: an income account, a profit account, an owner's pay account, a tax account, and an operational expense account. The business bank that he recommends and partners with is called Relay Banking, and they don't have minimum balances on the accounts. So you can have 5 accounts. Whereas when I used to have my accounts at a big bank, if I didn't have $5,000 in my accounts, I would get dinged for penalties, fees. Relay's not like that. Relay Bank, you can have your 5 Mike Michalowicz accounts set up. Even if there's 7 cents in one account, there will be no minimum fee charge. So that link is in the YouTube description, the Spotify, the Apple's description. If you guys want to try out Relay Bank, that link is in there. And then in summary, my personal playbook, I have 3 accounts. All my money goes into an income account, and then from there I transfer it into my tax savings account. Again, between Mike Michalowicz and folks that I've interviewed, depending on what country you live in, what state you live in, out of your revenue, there's variables, but between 15 and 30% of your revenue, if you set that aside for taxes, in most cases, you should have enough to be able to pay your tax obligations. There's so many variables that I don't have time to break down when you should be closer to 15% versus when you should be closer to 30% or at 30%. But rule of thumb, if you have $100 come into the business, you take 30%, which would be $30, and you set that into your tax savings account, and you do that as every revenue comes into your business, then by the time your tax bills due, you should have enough money to be saved for your taxes. I would highly recommend, I would highly recommend hiring a good tax preparer who has a good reputation and knows what they're doing. That's one of the most stressful things that I went through in the early years of my lawn care business, was getting behind with tax bills and not understanding all of that, and just sloppy and disorganized. And at the end of the day, not saving enough proactively so that when the bills were due, I didn't have all the money, or I'd have to scrape it together. And it's just stress that I wouldn't wish on anybody. How did I solve that problem? I got into a habit. Every morning I look at my bank account for my business, and if money had come in the previous day, I take the percentage that I have been advised that I should be withdrawing, or transferring from my income account to my tax account, and I put that in the tax account. So when tax bills due, I can just take a deep breath. I can go to the EFTPS website. It's something we have here in the United States, where then it pulls the money from my bank account and it pays it to the IRS. And then I get mad for about a day because I'm like, I can't believe I just paid them so much money. But at least I had the money saved that I could pay them what the tax bill was. And then from there, I have my operational expense account. Oh, we got some comments coming in. Thanks, Mr. Producer. Greenscapes, Ohio. Thanks for everything, Paul. Thank you for tuning in. Greenscapes. Brian from Georgia Bulldog fan. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. How's the audio for you there, Brian? Greenscapes from Ohio. Appreciate you tuning in. But at the end of the day, back to my intro, the biggest mistake Green Frog Web Designs. Thank you for the fire emoji there. Hope you are doing well, my friend. At the end of the day, the biggest mistake that lawn care landscaping business owners make is that they're not paying themselves. And when I got into a habit of paying me, hello, Paul, paying my business, paying me each month a set amount, and I started at 5,000, what it forced me to do was to face the reality that my business was not healthy. And in order for me to pay myself a salary for my hard work that I put into my business, I had to make adjustments in my business to get lean and mean. I had to make adjustments in my business to go serve more customers and bring in more revenue. And I made some other tweaks and adjustments, but that got my business to a place of margin where I can pay myself a fair, reasonable wage for the hard work I put into my business. And I can pay my taxes. The good old Internal Revenue Service can get paid that hefty tax bill on time because I've saved the money. And then I have the operational expenses to run my business. And in the middle of all of that, there's this beautiful thing called margin, which is space. So margin, it just gives you peace of mind. You can take a deep breath. Okay, I have money to pay my taxes. I have money to pay this bill. I have money to pay that bill. And of course, I would suggest looking at your expenses and that bill and this bill and that bill and getting them reduced to the most efficient way to run your business. And then also what it forced me to do when I started taking control of these things was it forced me to get out there, be a go-getter, and go find customers to serve, to go bring in more revenue to the business. So I'm going to leave it there. But thanks for tuning in. I know I've mentioned Relay Bank multiple times throughout today's program. They're in the show notes. They're in the description there. If you guys want to try them out with the no minimum fees, you can get those multiple bank accounts set up with Relay. And thanks everyone for tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate the encouragement. I have been wanting to do these live streams for a while, and I'm just now kind of getting the dust and the cobwebs off the systems here, and hopefully the audio and video is good enough for the internet out there. And then as always, thanks for everyone for listening on the Apple and Spotify, or Jason Creel, if you're listening, he listens on something called Podbean. Only Jason. Jason Creel. It's like, do you listen? Jason's like, yeah, man, I listen to your podcast. I was like, that's cool. Do you listen on Apple or Spotify? It's like, oh, I use this thing called Podbean. Jason, I've never even heard of Podbean. Oh, yeah, it's great. I said, oh, man. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you on the next episode. All right.